Kath McCauley, and I've been asked, what do I do about my colors getting muddy? So this is one of the 5 tips coming up next, but this is a pretty complex tip, so I think it's going to probably be one at a time. To start with, if you're using the Pilot Razor Point pen, why are your colors getting muddy? Because you didn't pull the line away first. I betcha. I could be wrong. But I'm going to do a little demo and you can see what happens. This should remind you if you've ever taken my class or ever got the videos. Okay, back to what happens. This is computer paper. I want you to see the difference between computer paper and Strathmore's drawing paper, which is a good paper that allows the pen to run. In both cases, I have pulled this line away into the background. This is the better paper. Please don't be doing things like this on your computer paper. They won't work very well. Now I want to show you what happens as I pull the line away in both cases. In both cases, these are currently dry. So I'm just going to turn it so I can get to what I refer to as a virgin line. Watch this one when I touch it. This is on the better paper. Pull that line away into the background, and it becomes the background. Now try that on the other paper, which absorbs, well, I shouldn't beg the question. Just try it. Notice it doesn't go out very far. You're not going to get the opportunity to learn as much unless you buy at least a decent paper when you're trying to learn. That's not meant as one. I mean, this is a fairly expert person doing this, and it's hard, and I'm working hard at it. On this one, it's an absolute snap. Now, what happens when you add color and you haven't bothered to take the line away? I'm going to pick something that would be a fairly normal color. I know I'm out of your range. It's okay. This is a fairly light color. I'm going to put this right in where I've got an outline, and it is not going to be a clean color because it is doing exactly what this did. It's pulling the line, which was a virgin line, into the color mass. I want to show you the same color, if I can, without that line interfering, so that you get an idea that it's a rather pretty color. But as soon as you touch the line, if you haven't bothered to get it out of the way, the line is going to change the color. That might be your source of muddy color. One more little example of this from the same paper. It's going to take me a minute to get to it. It's a sketch of a jazz singer, and I want you to see what happens when you pull the line away as opposed to not pulling it away. This is Angel Diamond. Now, she'd be difficult to do because, well, A, she's got extremely black hair. She has brown skin. I want to get the edge of her face. At this time, I can change my outline, because wherever I pull this away, that's what I'm going to wind up with. So I want to come out a little bit farther out here. I don't want her brow out so far. Bring it in a touch, like this. Pull that away. Now she does have an eyebrow. It's going to take a bit of, and she's got incredible eyelashes. I want to hold that eyelash. So I'm going to do the eyelash right now and let it dry. When I let it dry, it's stabilized, it won't go away. Very dark eyes. So get that much right now. The eyebrow is not that dark. This all takes thinking about it a tad. I can come down here and get her cheek. They're very pronounced. Very pronounced. They don't come out quite that full. Bring this in. I'm changing the lines of her face right now. And I'll come back and work on that eye again later. This is all the ink that was in those lines. If you're getting muddy because you haven't pulled the lines away before you came in with the color, it's because you haven't pulled the lines away. One more on this, because this is going to make it even more obvious. I call this a borrow pit. And I'll frequently put it in a sketch where I'm going to want to use it as ink to fill something. And I'm not quite figuring out what I want to do with Angel. That's going to take some thought. But if I wanted something to go a heck of a lot darker, I'd pick it up out of this borrow pit and pull it in and put it on. That's a way to bring in a dark wash. The pen automatically does wash drawings. If you were using a micron or a ballpoint, you could never get this effect of the wash pulling away. If I'm lucky, I'm not going to even play with it. I like the drawing. Otherwise, I would come in right now and come right up around her eye. I can get her eyebrow. That's not that much lighter or darker. That's okay. I can get away with that. But all of this is thinking about it, and where do you want things to run? Where do you not want them to run? The dark eye, that's very dark. Very dark. And I can hit these super darks now, and they will stabilize and come back later. Her eyebrow is very, very thin compared to her face. There's not much there compared to her face, but it is darker. You can see this build up. This is all using the pen to run. The hair is very dark. I might come back and add more, but there's not a great deal of difference between the hair and the edge of the hair on her face. Very, very little. And you have to look for these little nuances. So I'm going to rinse off and come back in and try to get this to be just slightly in between skin tone and hair. Not quite enough. It's going to take more work. Try her again when I see her on Wednesday. We go to Jazz at the Viscount in Tucson every Wednesday night. They start playing at 6:30. It's the Tucson Roadrunners, and Angel usually sings with them. And the Roadrunners are high school kids. Wonderful band. Great place to practice because the musicians hold poses and you can get put. Now this was carried over from there. Okay, back to your muddy colors. And I'm going to work on her face later, not when I'm thinking about something else. I don't want to use this paper. Oh, here's another little thing you should know about. Old paper won't run. This is an old pad. Let's see if it will still run. My experience has been is that it absorbs. Just a little extra thing here. Really crummy daisy, but it doesn't matter. Rinse out. Come back in and see if it'll run. Better. Well, no. About the same as computer paper. Something changes on the surface of the paper with age. Also with heat. So if you get out some paper you had 20 years ago, don't expect to get great results. Not going to happen. That's a little bit different, but not as much as when you got a brand new pad. Brand new pad works beautifully. Now I want to show you the other reason why you're getting muddy colors. Hope you got that. I'm only going to make a real muddy color for you on new paper, just so you can see it. Unfortunately, I have to tear Angel out. I don't like to tear things out. But I also don't want to smear her. Doing the same thing, I want to go to what would be a daisy. I'll get a little center in here. The reason I like to use the daisy is it's so simple. Incidentally, if you're doing florals, if you've taken my class, you've heard this and you've got it. But if you haven't taken the class, you haven't. It's the easiest of all flowers. You get it right, and the viewer thinks all the flowers in the picture are right. That's a tremendous advantage because you only have to get one right. And then the rest of them you can really flub up. I want a fairly light color. I'll go to alizarin. Muddy, you pick up that line and get it in there. Now, additional muddy is what do you do with the colors? As I go around and pick up more lines, notice this gets grayer and grayer. It is not clean anymore. And if I don't clean up my brush, it's never going to get clean. It's going to stay just like this. So that's the line that might be wrecking things. On the other hand, watch what happens where these lines are stabilized and I use the same color. Little different? That's the whole world right there if you're getting muddy color out of the Pilot pen. You didn't pull it away, or you touched the line with the color and the pen blended, because it'll go any place where there's water. You want clean color, let that line dry before you touch it. This line's never been touched, it's going to run, darken that immediately. That one, I did not touch that virgin line, and it stayed a clean color. There's one of your muddy colors. The other one is color mixing. So I don't care what I do with this, take it out. Now on color mixing, let's say you get, I want you to see my colors at this point. You want really pure, clean color. Don't have a messy paint set. I'm going to try to get a lovely purple. Now I mix colors on the far side of my paints. Can you see that, Dale? The colors mixed on the far side?
Yeah.
Okay. But I try to keep the near side, near to me, clean. This is cerulean blue. It's not really truly clean cerulean blue. You do enough, you'll learn your color. So now let's see if I can get it cleaner this time. That might be a little bit cleaner. Now I'm going to go to alizarin crimson, and I want a purple. One of the purples that this combination, well actually it's multiple purples that this combination will make. So far, I'm getting different purples. I can add a bit more cerulean down here. The only way you can learn about color is to play with color. Do it on good paper. Now I'm going to add a bit of cadmium red to this combination. So far it's not really bad. I expected this to really be horrible. It's when you start adding the third color that you usually go to mud. And that is a different red. And it will never, ever give me a clean purple. But there's another thing here that's just dreadfully important. There are two things. In most of nature, there is no absolutely pure color, except perhaps at a focal point. So if something really, really matters, you want to get really clean color right where it's important. As you're going farther and farther from your focal point, it's not going to matter. But you got to have clean color there. The next thing is, if you look at my paint set, if you're really after clean color, you're not going to get it. Not with this. And what you have to do is clean up the paint set. And I highly recommend that you do color exercises until you got this down. A bowl. This is something that I tell my students to do if they really want to learn about color. First place, clean up the colors. Sorry about that. Paper towel, a little bit of water. And this is something that you can spend an hour and a half on, and it'll pay you off. Going from the side that's going to be clean to the dirty side, go across each color until the paper towel comes out clean. Rather the color that you're after. Not a mess. Do that for every color you're going to use. This is painstaking. It pays off. I'm going to get this out of the way because it rides high. This is my field set, so I have extra colors in it. You don't have everything that I have, but this color happens to be a really lovely, lovely red. It's quinacridone red. Okay, both of these colors have now been cleaned up. And I have to put this someplace where I'm not going to make a mess. Now I should get a lovely color. Again, I'm going to use cerulean because I started with it. Now, once you put the cerulean down, this is a color exercise. Rinse out the brush. And from clean Quin Red, pick up some Quin Red. I want more color. And when you mix these together, you should get a lovely, lovely color. You can go both ways. My standard color exercise, I tell people, remember George W. Bush. It's the W. And I'll do one right here so you can see it. And I've done gobs of these to find out what color happens when I use two colors. There's one half of the W. Rinse out the brush. Get an idea this is going to take a while? I figure an hour and a half to go through as many colors as you can stand in one sitting. If there are more, come back and do it again. Your tolerance is about an hour and a half. Both sides are wet. You can't do it with the dry side. And now go up these legs on both sides and you'll get the variations of color you can get out of this combination. Beautiful purple and a purpled red. You want to make that a little more purple? Go ahead. Until you find out, and I like to call those the parents on the tip. These are the kids, and you label the parents so that you know what you used when you did this. Use abbreviations. So this would be a CB, cerulean blue. This would be a QR, quinacridone red. Keep these. Do them on good paper. Keep them. Now when you get to where you have muddy colors, you have probably introduced too many colors or dirty colors, either one, into the pile. Dirty colors will make a wreck if you want clean, beautiful results. This is a dirty yellow ochre. What happens if I put it, well, that's a pretty color. What happens if I add that? I'm getting to mud. You said mud, I'm getting to mud. Oh, here's another thing, too much water. Too much water so you can't control it. You see, there are lots of factors here. And then there are factors beyond this. This is a brown. This is not fair. You said you were getting mud. You can get mud out of lots of different colors. If you are carrying green over into this pile with red, you're going to get mud or a red-green or a green-red. Actually, you're going to get some of the beautiful colors of nature. But you will not get a pure green or a pure red if you've got a combination of red and green. All of this is color exercise. This is stuff you've got to practice yourself. At this point, I'm not unhappy with any of this, but watch what happens if I scrub it, trying to get something else. Scrub over it, and there is true mud. There's another one of, if you work over something, you kill it every time. Watch this kill. Watch it kill colors. Scrub it over it. You put a brush stroke down and you watch what you get. Back to cerulean blue. Watch what you get. Pay attention. Watercolor is water with color. It does things all by itself. Pay attention to each brush stroke as you put it down and learn how much you can wiggle it, what you can do with it. You're not going to just get in there and tear through it. It will not reward you. It'll reward you with yuck. So basically, it's have a lighter hand. Use good paper. You don't have to use the best. The Strathmore drawing paper is a darn good. It will do just about anything you need. Paper, it is not the best. The best is expensive. This is not. Look at the lovely colors happening here. I let them happen. I did not push into it. The minute you push into it, you kill it. Let it be fresh. Let watercolor run. Most of you like the effect of loose watercolor. Well, that doesn't happen by plowing in. That's a wet field. This is, I'm going to try to get some nice sap green in here. Let it run. Let it do things that it will do. Now, if I come up here and pick up yellow on the same brush, and don't start with something new and light, it's going to be heavier. This is all a matter of practice. When you get to the nth degree, it depends on how much water you have on the brush and how much water is already on the paper. Those are your two real deciding factors. Just for the fun of it, because I happen to have it here, I'm going to pull out a piece of Arches paper so you can see the difference in color on a really good paper. This is a really good paper. On top of that, this is a rough surface, which is one of the three surfaces in watercolor paper. They are hot press, cold press, and rough. I've put water down. Using the same colors, watch how it flows on its own. To play around with this as a beginner is expensive, and if you've got lots of money, it's fun. If you don't have lots of money, learn on a lesser paper. But it is fun. If I add water here, what happens? Not enough. But if I add that's, okay. And in fact, that's not the red I was using. This is Quin. Quin will run farther, I bet you. It's all a matter of playing and not taking yourself too darn seriously and doing the exercises. I'm going to show you a couple of my exercises because I want you to see that somebody really does these things. This is an exercise. This is not mine, actually. This is from a student. And she labeled it Purple Lake, Yellow Ochre. That's the Arizona sunset in the middle. But pure color, run them together. The one down here is fascinating. She didn't label these, but I could see it because of what was at the edges. Viridian green, burnt sienna, it's the color of pond water. More viridian, it's bluer pond water. This is the experiment stuff you have to do. And I've done tons of W's. This just gives you an idea. Because I too want to know how you get mud and how you avoid mud. So that's my mud lesson. Enjoy.